if you want to know how much is too much when you eat food, then come and sit meditation after you've finished eating. Too much and you'll fall asleep. Very difficult. You have to just get the right amount, and lots of nice food, it's very tempting. So then you understand this word greed. Eyes see the food, nose smell, taste from the touch, the tongue tastes, and then you eat, but maybe eat more than you need to. So then you come and sit here, and as I talk, people start to nod off. Maybe you don't see, but I see everybody. So part of mindfulness training, learning to eat the right amount, not too much, not too little. If you eat too little, then maybe you run out of energy and just feel very tired. When you feel tired, your mind is restless, not peaceful. You eat too much, you fall asleep. So you have to learn what is the right amount. Ajahn used to say, if you want to know the right amount, you take the amount that you think is right, and then you reduce it by 5 mouthfuls. So you have a plate and you think this is the right amount for me, but because we always have a little bit of extra greed in there, just want to take a little bit extra, before you finish your plate, the last 5 mouthfuls you don't eat, and you drink water instead. If you do that, you won't get too full and you won't feel so sleepy. But when you get to the end of your plate and there's those 5 mouthfuls left, your mind will say, oh, just a little bit more, please, please. So you have to train yourself. There's a few questions today, so I'll begin. Thank you for the opportunity to attend this retreat. During meditation practice, when I have a few moments following on the breath with no thoughts, I notice self-doubt starting, which brings thoughts again. I notice this self-doubt in other areas of my life. Would you please talk about this? Very common for people practicing breathing meditation. They focus their mind on the feeling of the breath, and as they put more effort into it, and the mind and the breath stay together, and they're not distracted, then they start to calm down. The breath becomes very subtle, the feeling of the breath becomes very subtle, refined. Not many thoughts bothering that person, maybe no thoughts at all. Just knowing the breath going in, breath going out, very subtle, maybe get to a point where the breath seems to stop. What's happened is the breath is so refined, you can't sense movement anymore, can't sense the breathing in, the breathing out movement. Your whole body is very still, calm, peaceful. Your mind is bright, alert, happy, and it's just focused in one spot where the breath was, and now the breath has disappeared. And many people have the problem then. At that point, they get doubt. I can't feel my breath, what should I do? Some people even panic. They think, am I going to die? Because they can't feel their breathing. even if they don't panic, they doubt, they wonder, what's happening? I can't feel my breath. What should I do? Because it's a new experience. If they're fairly new to meditation, they might not have had that experience before, so it's a bit unusual, strange experience. So they get doubt. And the doubt, like this person, it makes them start to think again. What am I doing? Why? All the thoughts come up and they pull back from their concentration on the breath, start thinking again. Maybe that's it for their meditation for that day. They can't meditate anymore because they just start thinking again. They've lost all their concentration. So it's a very common experience. It's like a hurdle that you have to get through, get over, an obstacle. And really the only way is to keep practicing and reassure yourself, don't worry, you're not going to die. Nobody died meditating. And the Buddha taught us this method. You know, he didn't aim us to die, he didn't want us to die. He wanted us to become very calm so we can see our minds better. So if you keep practicing, you'll get to know your mind better and you'll be more used to the meditation and this experience where the breath becomes still, quiet, and you can't feel the in and out breath. You're not asleep, so it's not you become sleepy or dull. You're still fully awake. Your mind is bright, but the breath seems to have stopped moving in and out. If you keep getting to that point, you just remind yourself it's okay, keep practicing, and focus your mind on that very point where the breath stops moving, and just keep your attention there. Sometimes people will have visions arise at that point, and they have light arising. Because the mind is peaceful, it becomes very bright, like someone switched on a light bulb inside your mind. Sometimes people even get visions of faces or people or places, different things pop up into their mind. That also will distract them. And they start thinking, what is that? Should I look at this image? If they see light, should I look at the light? All kinds of doubts keep coming up, and you have to keep letting go of the doubts and just stick with your basic mindful awareness at that point where the breath disappears. Everything else you can watch as impermanent. You have light, well, it's just light, it's just an image that comes up when you're peaceful. Later you stop meditating, it fades away again. If you see a person's face or some image from your memory or something, it just comes up, goes away again. You just watch it arise and pass away. You don't have to think about it, doubt or worry. So you become more firm and more steady in your mind. This is samadhi. But you also have wisdom. You know, I don't need to attach to the experience. I don't need to think about it, worry about it. I just keep practicing mindfulness. So your mindfulness gets firmer and stronger. And this will have an effect in the rest of your life as well. If you practice meditation regularly, your mind becomes more peaceful, more steady regularly. Then in other situations that bring up doubt, you can use this steadiness of mind, your mindfulness, to help you at that time. So at this time of year, all the young people are doing exams. So I always tell them, do a bit of breathing meditation the night before your exam or the morning of your exam. You do breathing meditation to steady your mind so you don't get panicky or worry so much, because everyone gets stressed around exams. Even in the exam, you're doing an exam, even in the middle of the exam, people panic. They read the question, maybe their mind goes blank, or they're just so worried that they can't answer the question, they just can't think, or they're just thinking too much. all kinds of crazy thoughts come up. So I always say, if that happens, just stop and do a couple of minutes of breathing meditation. And many kids or students have come and told me they did that, and then after they did a few moments of breathing meditation, they open their eyes, they look at the question again, and now they can answer it, now they can do it, and they can carry on. Because they've let go of their doubt or their panic. So mindfulness of breathing can help us in many situations to overcome our doubts or our worries. You can use it for fear. Sometimes when people are very afraid, they do mindfulness of breathing and it helps them to carry on at a time where maybe they're so afraid they don't know what to do, or they want to run away, or maybe they just carry on doing their mindfulness of breathing. So an example of that, sometimes when people are faced with, they have to have an operation in a hospital, and the thought of the operation, whether it will be successful or not, just brings them so much suffering. So they do their mindfulness of breathing, they calm their mind so that they're more steady, more stable before they go to the operation. And some people have done that even so successfully when they're on the trolley, they're given the general anesthetic before their operation. They just do their mindfulness of breathing and they go into deep samadhi, and then they lose consciousness. When they come out after the operation, they're still peaceful, and they come back to that state of samadhi with the breathing. So mindfulness of breathing is like a good friend you turn to, and it helps you through doubts, through worries, through fear, or just general anxiety or general distracted thinking. It will help us. The more we do it, the easier it becomes, and the more we trust in the method, the way of practice. Sometimes we don't know what to do in a situation. We can't make a decision, we don't know what to do, so do the mindfulness of breathing. That can help when we're in that situation. Someone was asking me about my time in the forest the other day. I was telling them about meeting a wild bear. Maybe I'll tell you now. One time I was in the forest in Thailand where they have wild bears, and the bears can be quite aggressive sometimes. I was just walking meditation back and forth, and then I heard this loud noise in the bush, and this bear, big bear, is bigger than me, came running out of the trees straight towards me. And this is in the jungle, there's no one around, it's not like there's any houses or anything. The bear comes running at me, sort of breathing heavily. They go big paws, fierce eyes, just running full pelt towards me. And I had all kinds of thoughts coming. I said, should I run? Was the first thought. Second thought was, should I pick up a stick of wood, a branch or something to block it if it attacks me? Third thought was, don't they tell you when a bear comes you should lie down and pretend to be dead? I had all these thoughts come through my mind. What do I do? Meanwhile, the bear is running closer and closer to me. Then I thought, the Buddha just said, think of the Buddha and do your meditation. So I just stand here, I stopped walking, I stood still, I'll do my anapanasati. You breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. The bear is getting closer and closer. Bear comes running out, I'm just going breathe in, breathe out. Bear stops, looks at me, and then runs off in another direction. Didn't do anything. So, I would say the power of anapanasati in that situation helped a lot, because it helped me not to panic. Because I'm peaceful, the bear sees I'm peaceful, no threat to the bear. Maybe that's enough, the bear just goes away. when we do have panic, we're scared, we often do the wrong thing. So we run, or we fight, or we do some movement which might scare a bear, or it could be a person. When we're afraid, we do the wrong thing quite often, and it makes it worse. So you do your anapanasati when you're nervous, or when you're afraid. It will help. Or when you're feeling very angry. Many times people have said they've used anapanasati when they're angry and they want to argue with someone. And they're about to have an argument, but they remember, oh, I should do my anapanasati. So they breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and all the emotion making them want to argue and be rude to that person, it fades, it stops, because of the breathing meditation. So if you keep practicing, then your mindfulness improves, your mind becomes more steady, and you'll be able to push through some of these experiences, whether you're sitting meditation or just in daily life. And you'll find you don't get so caught into doubt or worry. Next question. Thank you for holding this retreat. I'm very grateful to be able to attend. At times I notice a guilty feeling. This can be from just being alive in a fairly peaceful country, having enough to eat, and being able to come today. Would you please talk on this? Oh, well, you don't have to feel guilty. It's your good karma, it's your merit. The Buddha said everything arises from a cause. So if you're living in a country that's peaceful, you have enough to eat, you have a chance to listen to Dhamma, learn meditation, come to a place like this, there's a cause for that. It means you've made the good karma, the good causes in the past, and then this is the result. It's not random. It's not just like some people have good luck, some don't. Everything comes from a cause. And our practice is creating good causes that will bring good results. So if you practice generosity, you help other people, you share what you have, you support the religion, this is a good cause, it will bring many good results back to you. So I say if you're living in a country where you have, like Australia, we have free medical care, we have free education, you get food to eat. Even if you're homeless, there are still organizations where you can go and ask for food and get free food. Nobody has to starve. That means everybody living here has made some merit, some good karma in the past, that we can come to live in a place like this. So you don't have to feel guilty about that. You just have to contemplate. It's come through the causes of doing good in the past. But then you shouldn't squander your opportunity either. You shouldn't be complacent. If you've achieved this in your life, you're living in a good place, peaceful place, and you can practice Dhamma, don't waste your chance. Do lots of meditation, listen to Dhamma, keep precepts, do dana, do more and more so that you're making the best chance, making the best of this opportunity. If you live in a country like, I used to live in Thailand, and you get many great meditation masters, and monks like myself come from overseas and we go and live there. Like for me, I had to go from England to Thailand. It's like 10,000 kilometers travel when I was very young. Got there, went and ordained at Ajahn Chah's monastery, lived, and there's met many great meditation masters. Because I'd gone so far, I was always thinking, oh, this is my lucky opportunity. I can hear Dhamma, I can meditate, I can practice. This is my good fortune. Then I noticed, in Thailand, not everybody goes to the temple. Some people, they're born right next to a temple, like Ajahn Chah's temple. Ajahn Chah's living there, great enlightened meditation master. There's a little village down the road, and I asked some of the monks in the temple, they said, some of the villagers come and listen to Ajahn Chah and meditate. Some don't. They never come. When I was young, I was always surprised by that. I thought, why? You're born right next to an arahant. You've got opportunity to make such good karma, to improve your life, make more merit, but they don't do it. Why? Well, it also has a cause, doesn't it? Sometimes if we don't practice Dhamma, we don't see it as important, we don't listen to Dhamma, we don't go to the monasteries, the temples, or we don't listen to teachers, well then maybe next life we won't even meet them. Next life we won't even meet a good teacher because we haven't made the cause. Everything comes as a result of past causes. Or like in Thailand, Thailand is a Buddhist country, and during the 60s, 70s, he didn't go communist, even though Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam all became communist countries. And in those communist countries, Buddhism became very hard to practice. Maybe people couldn't go to the temple anymore. Causes and results. And people like in Laos, only like a few kilometers away from Thailand. In Thailand they had enlightened teachers living, a lot of them live on the banks or near the banks of the Mekong River. All the way along the Mekong River you can find enlightened masters. And young monks like myself, we'd wander, we'd either walk or go on a trip and visit these teachers, and one after another. And you think, oh, this is my good fortune to meet an arahant, listen to their Dhamma. And yet people just across the Mekong River, you can see their villages. They can never come because they're in another country and they're not allowed to. That's karma, isn't it? So karma is about cause and result. So if you do have some good things happen, you live in Australia, this is something to contemplate, think about it. You don't have to feel guilty, you just understand, it's cause and result. And if there are those people living in other countries that have problems, they don't have food or they have civil war, well, we practice compassion. If we can help them in some way, good. If we can't, we just have to meditate, send our thoughts to them, wish them well. But everything has cause, everything comes from a cause, and we experience the result. If we don't practice Dhamma this life, you're not going to come back and meet with the chance to practice next life, are you? Because you haven't made the cause. So we're using up our old merit at the moment, our old good karma we're using up. But we also have to make new, fresh, new good karma. Even in meditation, sometimes it's like that. People meditate and they become very peaceful. And then they stop and they say, I don't deserve this. If you become peaceful in your meditation, you do deserve it because you're the one who did it. What you have to do is build on it, improve it. If you let your mind fall into a negative thought, oh, I don't deserve this, I'm not a good person, what does it do to your mind? It takes away your happiness. You start to feel more anger, more stress. It doesn't help you and it doesn't help anyone else. Even if we've done bad things in the past, like when you meditate, sometimes you remember your mistakes. You said something, you did something. Maybe you killed some animals in the past. Maybe you harmed somebody. you were rude to somebody or you stole something. It might pop up in your meditation. What we have to do is not get caught up into the guilt and hold on to that memory with an angry thought. What we have to do is learn from it. When we see the suffering we created in the past, when it comes up as a memory, we have to say, I'm not going to do that again. You change your karma at that moment. You say, I won't kill again, or I won't steal again, I won't be rude to people again. You make your new determination. That's what sila is. Sila is the intention to refrain from killing, stealing, abusing, whatever. So in your mind you bring up the intention to keep sila, keep precepts, then you move on, you learn from that. But if you just feel guilty, you keep holding on to that memory, you keep feeling angry or sad with yourself, you never get free from it, will you? You keep getting stuck at that point. You have to let it go, but learn from it and then move on. Another question. Could you please explain the meaning of Sappha Kaye Patisamveti in the Satipatthana Sutta? So we were just talking about this. Sabbha means all, or the whole. Kaya means body. Patisamveti means the experience, the feeling of the whole body. So as we practice Satipatthana, and particularly mindfulness of breathing, you're practicing Satipatthana, and when you practice mindfulness of breathing, breathing is one part of the body. Breath, the breath element, we call it an element, a dhatu, the air element. The human body has four main elements. There's the hard part, which is the earth element, Patavi. There's the liquid part, which is the water element, all the blood and urine, all the kind of wet things in your body, spittle and sweat. And then we have temperature, our body feels hot, feels cool, that's the fire element. And then we have air, and that's the breath element. We have the breath, and that's the air element. And when you breathe in and you focus on your breath, you start to become aware how the breath goes in, it fills the lungs. What happens then is the blood flows through the lungs and picks up oxygen from the lungs, from the air. And what happens to the blood? Well, it flows all the way around your whole body. So the blood actually carries oxygen around your whole body. So when you become very peaceful and you're just focused on the breath, then you start to be aware of the whole body as breath. Because you're just focusing on one thing, the breath, the air. And the air that's gone around your body, that becomes you're very conscious, very aware of that. And you let go of all the other parts of your body at that time. You're not focused on them, just the air. So it's as if you're seeing your body as just air. So you might feel like your body is just a whole wispy flow of air. And people sometimes, they see an image of their own body, just kind of these wisps of, sometimes it comes out like light, but just wisps of light going around the body. It's just the air element. And they're aware of their whole body at that time because they're very peaceful. Other people feel like they're solid. You know, like when you blow up a balloon when it's got no air in it, it's just loose rubber. And you blow it up, and you tie it off, and that balloon is firm, isn't it? Even though you can puncture it, but as long as you don't puncture it, it's firm. Your body becomes like that. When you do breath meditation, you feel very firm. And if you're very concentrated, that sense of firmness, you feel very stable, feel like maybe Nothing can push you over, and your mind is very steady. Nothing can shake you. No thought can shake you. You don't feel worried or nervous or sad or angry or anything. You just feel very firm and solid because your mind is focused on the breath, and the whole body is seen as breath. When you do that, then you can contemplate. You get to that point, you contemplate this body is not really a self, it's not a person. The body is made up of these elements. In this case, you're seeing the breath element, and nobody owns the breath element. You know, we mistakenly say, this is my body, I own my body, I am my body, this body is mine. But when you contemplate, you look, it's not yours. The breath is like molecules of air and oxygen and going around your body, and nobody owns that, that's just nature. You breathe in air every moment, whether you like it or not, that's what you're doing. The air out there, who owns it? We don't, go around in the world and section off parts of the sky and the air and we say, oh, that's my air, not yours. Maybe one day it will happen if the world gets so polluted. People have bottles of air that they carry around as my air. It's not your air. Maybe they'll start selling it. But at the moment it's not like that. The air is just nature, isn't it? And yet you depend on it. You breathe it in and it fills the whole body, oxygenates the blood, and the blood makes the body work. You need it for muscles. Every part of the body needs the blood and needs the oxygen. But nobody owns that. It's just when it comes into our body, then we have such a strong sense of ego, self. We say, this is my body. So then it becomes my air. So we feel like, oh, this is my breath. Breathe in, my breath, I am breathing in. Breathe out, I am breathing out. But when your mind is peaceful, the sense of I disappears. It's just the breath, it's just the elements, just the body. You can also say you are experiencing emptiness. What is the mind empty of at that moment? It's empty of this sense of self. No sense of self, so there's no greed, no anger, no worry, no fear. It's just peaceful awareness, and you could say emptiness. So we keep focusing on the breath, we come to understand the breath and the body, and we understand body is impermanent, body is not self, doesn't belong to anybody. Someone once told me, they said, because there's so many molecules and atoms of air in the atmosphere, so many billions of molecules, when you breathe in, you're breathing in a few molecules of air that somebody living a few thousand years ago breathed in already once. So maybe you're breathing same air particles as the Buddha or somebody else. The air just floats around, doesn't it? We breathe in and we breathe it out again. Obviously it's changing all the time, but the molecules are just the same molecules of air. Oh, question in Thai, so maybe I'll answer in English first, then in Thai. จิตความฟุ้งซ่านจิตใจคิดเรื่องนั้นเรื่องนี้ไปเรื่อยพาให้จิตไม่สงบขอคำแนะนำครับ So when our mind is caught into a lot of restless, agitated thinking about many different issues, problems, this disturbs the mind. We say it's not peaceful. And the question is, can you advise how to deal with that? Well, that's why we come to meditate. We come to meditate to deal with the mind that's not peaceful. But it takes time. So Ajahn Chah always used to say, when you meditate, don't be too impatient, don't be too judgmental. Be willing just to sit with your mind, whether it's peaceful or not peaceful. Doesn't matter. If your mind is not peaceful today, you meditate and it's not peaceful, he said, at least you know what it's like when it's not peaceful, because you're now meditating, watching your mind. You try and bring up mindfulness, sometimes very difficult. You can't concentrate the mind on anything, just thinking so much. Okay, at least you know what it's like. You know, oh, it's like this today, my mind is all over the place. And you know what the mind is like when it's all over the place. Even that is success in practice, because the next time your mind is all over the place, thinking a lot, disturbed, you know that. You say, oh, I've been here before, I know what it's like. And one thing you'll learn is that state of mind that is very restless, agitated, after a while it will change. So even on a day you're sitting there and your mind is all over the place, thinking a lot, distracted, just keep watching. You watch the thoughts come and go, come and go, come and go. And after a certain period of time, however long it may be, might be 10 minutes or an hour, your mind and the mood will change. And you'll see, oh, it's changed now. Before it was really restless, my mind was thinking so much. Now it's gone quiet, it's changed. Because there'll always be a point where your restless mind state just fades out. And if you keep watching it, you know, oh, now it's changed, now it's finished. So you know even the most agitated, disturbed mind state doesn't last. If you can see it doesn't last, you don't have to be so afraid of it. You don't have to attach to it, get so upset by it. A lot of meditators, they suffer because they judge their meditation. They say, oh, my meditation is no good. I want to be peaceful, but my mind is thinking so much. And they make themselves worse. They get upset because they're not peaceful. Now you can say, oh, it doesn't matter. Even if my mind's not peaceful, I'm just going to watch. And after a while, it's going to change. And that thought, that issue will fade, because nothing lasts. So you feel stronger then. And you don't have to be so hard on yourself, so critical. You just say, this issue has been bothering me, but I know it won't last. I'll watch until it passes, then it's gone. Next time it happens, it won't take over your mind quite so long, for so long. It will come up, but not so quickly and not for so long, because you already have practiced with the mind that's not peaceful. The Buddha said, if you really want to let go of all your disturbed thoughts, all your agitation, your suffering, don't change posture. So if you're sitting and you have a lot of distracted thinking, worries, restless agitation, just keep sitting and say, I'm not going to get up until it goes quiet. And you become very tough with yourself. You say, I'm not going to give into this, I'm just going to keep sitting here. Then your kilesas, all the attachments that are fueling this agitated state of mind, they start to shrink away a bit. They go, oh, this guy means business. He's not going to get up until we've all gone quiet. You know, it's a bit like the kids at home when your kids are all playing around shouting and they won't listen to you. You say, okay, you carry on playing, and if you're going to be stubborn and not going to stop, okay, I'll lock the door and you just carry on. When you're finished, you knock on the door. Something like that. Sometimes you have to take a grip of your own mind, your own attachments, all your desires, all the thinking, and you say, okay, you think as much as you want, but I'm going to be here watching. And I'm not going to give in to you, and I know you're not going to be there all day. So after a while they shrink away very quickly, especially if you're not going to change posture. So the Buddha said, if I'm not peaceful sitting, I won't get up from my sitting until I'm peaceful. If I'm walking meditation, I won't stop walking till I'm peaceful. So then, all your mind's attachment, all the restlessness goes very quiet very quickly. It's like get scared. Oh, he's not going to stop walking. Oh dear. Okay. So everything calms down. ตอบเป็นภาษาไทยเนาะ I'll just speak in Thai a little bit for the questioner. ความฟุ้งซ่านก็เป็นอารมณ์หนึ่งของจิตเนาะ ฟุ้งซ่านเป็นธรรมดา คิดปรุงแต่งไป สารพัด ความคิดก็สักแต่ว่าความคิด ให้เรามีผู้รู้ที่รู้ความคิดก็แค่ความคิด มันเกิดแล้วก็ดับ เกิดแล้วก็ดับ สงบไม่สงบก็รู้ นั่งไม่สงบก็รู้ไว้มันไม่สงบ วันนี้นั่งสมาธิไม่สงบ หรือสงบวันนี้สงบดี ให้รู้ไว้ตรงนี้ แล้วก็ค่อยๆฝึกสติ พอสติดีขึ้น ความฟุ้งซ่านก็ต้องน้อยลงแน่นอน แต่เราค่อยๆตามดูความฟุ้งซ่านมันจะพาเราไปถึงไหน ตามดูความฟุ้งซ่านมันมีวาระของมัน มันมีกำลังของมัน พอกำลังหมด วาระหมดมันก็หยุด ถ้าเรายังมีสติตามดูอยู่ตรงนั้นเราจะรู้มันไม่เที่ยง มันไม่แน่นอน เราไม่ต้องไปเชื่อมันมาก ไม่ต้องไปซีเรียสกับมันมาก มันเป็นแค่ความคิดในเรื่องใดเรื่องหนึ่ง พอมันผ่านไปจบไปมันก็แค่นั้นเอง ความคิดก็สักแต่ว่าการทำงานของจิตในเดชพระพุทธเจ้าหรือพระอรหันต์ก็ยังมีความคิดอยู่ แต่ท่านมีสติและมีปัญญาในความคิดของท่านมีประโยชน์ แต่ท่านไม่ยึดติดกับความคิด ท่านใช้ความคิดเป็นเครื่องมือทำความดีช่วยเหลือคนอื่นเราก็ต้องฝึกอย่างนี้ ฝึกพิจารณาใช้ความคิดให้เกิดปัญญาเลยก็ใช้ความคิดช่วยเหลือคนอื่น ช่วยตัวเองช่วยคนอื่นทำประโยชน์ แต่ถ้าในวาระที่ความฟุ้งซ่านยังไม่ตับก็ตามดูความฟุ้งซ่านมันเป็นอย่างนี้ Another question in Thai. This question is เวลาเดินจงกรมหลับตาได้หรือไม่ Question is when we're walking meditation, should we open or close our eyes? If you close your eyes, you'll bump into something. And if you're in a walking meditation near a street, you'll get run over. So don't close your eyes when you're walking meditation. But maybe I should just modify that. If you're walking meditation and you become peaceful, then you might naturally want to stop and stand still and do standing meditation for a while. And you find your mind gathers together. Because you're peaceful, you have samadhi come up. Your mind gathers together and you just stand still. Maybe it goes in deep. So then you close your eyes at that point, maybe, because you're standing still. But when you're walking, you've got to open your eyes because you've got to see where you're going. If we're all walking around here with our eyes closed, we'll just bump into each other. So when you're walking meditation, normally don't close your eyes. Most years, people ask this sort of question. I tell them about all the times. When I was a young monk, we used to do a practice 7 days and 7 nights without sleep. And we just practice mindfulness all the time. Because we're monks, we can kind of devote ourselves to the meditation like that. Stay out in the forest. But if you don't sleep for 7 days and 7 nights, you have periods where your mind is in a very blurry state. Even when you're walking meditation. So I'm doing that. I bumped into a tree once. Just walk, and you're just falling asleep. So you bump into a tree. Or a friend of mine is in a monastery. It's like this. The doors of the hall were glass. So he's going without sleep. He's walking up and down. He just walked straight into a pane of glass. Those are a bit extreme, those practices. You don't have to do that, but we were doing it out of interest, see what it's like. It's the only time in my life I've ever fallen asleep while eating. Normally when we eat food we're so excited, you don't fall asleep, do you? But I was just eating and just so tired because I hadn't slept for many days, just falling asleep as I was eating. I wouldn't recommend this practice, but it gives you an insight into the mind when it's under that kind of pressure. But the danger is you fall over or you bump into things. Oh, ภาษาไทย I didn't answer in Thai. ภาษาไทยก็ให้เดินจงกรมให้ลืมตาขึ้นจะได้ปลอดภัยมีสติพุทธเจ้าบอกให้กำหนดดูข้างหน้ายาวสัก2 เมตรเดินไปเดินมาสำรวมมองได้แต่ไม่อย่าไปมองซ้ายมองขวาให้แค่มองที่พื้นข้างหน้าแต่ถ้าสงบแล้วจิตเริ่มจะร่วมเข้ามาเป็นสมาธิให้เรายืนนิ่งได้พอเรายืนอยู่จิตเข้ามาข้างในเราก็หลับตาได้เข้าสมาธิได้เข้าฌานก็ได้เพราะเรายืนแต่ถ้าเดินจะเข้าฌานไม่ได้ต้องกำหนดสติกับอิริยาบถเดิน Another question. What would be the best advice for disciplining ourselves to practice meditation at home? The best advice, probably you could pretend that you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've only got 3 months to live. Just pretend, and then you'll start to see a whole change in your outlook, and you'll see meditation becomes very important because you want to make your mind peaceful before you die, and you'll forgive everybody that you hate, and you'll let go of all the silly things you've been attached to, and you're just focused on being a good person, being kind to people, and meditating and making your mind peaceful. So sometimes when people get diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer, it's the best thing that ever happened for them. It's hard to see though, isn't it? But you need that kind of motivation. You need to see we don't live forever. We don't know when we will die. We don't know how much time we've got. So use your time to meditate, to make your mind more peaceful, to understand Dhamma. Don't wait. Like, most people say, oh, I'll do it when I'm 60, when I retire, and then I'll start meditating, going to the temple. And when they're 60 and they retire and they try to meditate, the knees just so painful. They get arthritis and they say, oh, I can't meditate. I wish I'd meditated when I was young. Don't wait till you're old. Do it now and just keep doing it. Every day find some time. Remind yourself. When you turn the news on, you see, oh, somebody's died from this reason, that reason. That could be me. That could be me. So I better hurry up and do more good, do more meditation. We do more meditation, we benefit. Our families benefit. We get closer to the Buddha, closer to Nibbana. Everything else takes second place. Everything else is like, do you want to meditate or do you want to watch the soap opera? Soap operas don't bring us closer to Nibbana. How can we discipline ourselves at home? Well, maybe time to get rid of the computer, get rid of the mobile phone. Simplify your life. Some people, they do so much work, they spend all their time working, and they earn money, but they have no free time. They get home and, so tired. Maybe don't work quite so much. Work enough to earn a living, and then save some free time for meditation and doing good. You have to think about how complicated your life is. Nowadays, everybody has to be doing activities. If you've got kids, you've got to be taking them somewhere to do something. Or yourself, weekends, if you go to work on a Monday and your friends say, what did you do for the weekend? You've got to be able to say you did something, you went somewhere, You went shopping, you went traveling, went to some sporting event, something. You've got to always say you've been somewhere doing something. Don't get caught into that. Just tell them, oh, I spent my weekend keeping the 8 precepts and meditating. You have to pick your friends who will encourage you to meditate like that. Don't just pick the friends who like all these other social things. Our culture is one that if you meditate like this, people think you're wasting your time. They think, well, how does that help you? You know, we always think we should be doing something. What is it they say? Don't just sit there, do something. But Buddhist meditators, we say, don't do anything, just sit there. Sometimes we have to teach ourselves. We say, it doesn't matter, it's okay to do nothing. You know, for the next 1 hour, you know, maybe you're at home, you say, for the next 1 hour, I'm just going to watch my breath go in and out. Nothing else. Don't need to do cleaning, cooking, no need to phone anybody, no need to get on the computer. 1 hour of just breathing, breathing in, breathing out. Try it. You won't die. Some people go, oh, if I didn't have my iPhone, I'd just die. We get so attached to all these things. You know, just try it. Simplify your life. Find a free time to do a bit of meditation. Another question in Thai. การเห็นสัจธรรมด้วยความนึกคิดที่ไม่ได้เกิดจากการนั่งสมาธิกับการเห็นจากการนั่งสมาธิมีความแตกต่างกันและสำคัญอย่างไรคะ There's a question about the difference between insight into the truth that just comes from thinking, intellectualizing about Dhamma, or the insight that comes from actually meditating with a peaceful mind, bringing up mindfulness with a peaceful mind. So it's the difference, what the Buddha called, he said there's 3 kinds of panya. Panya means wisdom or insight. So Suttamaya panya. Suttamaya panya means the knowledge, the wisdom we get just from listening. Sutta means listening, but also reading. So you read Dhamma books, you listen to a talk, you discuss. You gain knowledge that way, and it's helpful, it's necessary. You get this knowledge, you learn how to meditate, you learn what is good, what is bad, you learn all the different parts of the Dhamma teaching like this. But this knowledge is still outside of you, external. You get it from books, from teachers. So it's not really your knowledge. So the next step, the Buddha said, everything you've heard, you bring it into your mind. And you think about it inside until you make sure you really understand what you've heard. This is called Jintamaya Panya. Jintamaya means using your mind, thinking, comparing, painting a picture in your mind. So the Buddha says, anger is a cause of suffering. You must let go of your anger. So you think about it. Anger, how do I suffer? There was that day when I got angry, and then I said something and I felt really bad after, and then I got angry again and I smashed the plate, and I made a big mess. You think about it, and partly you're just remembering things, comparing, until you understand, I'm sure anger is really cause of suffering. It's something I should really abandon. So you understand now, inside. But it's not yet the same as the next step, which is Bhavanamaya Panya. Bhavanamaya Panya means the insight or the wisdom that comes from actually knowing and seeing with mindfulness. So now you might have understood, anger is something that causes me suffering, it's bad. Next step is you actually have enough mindfulness, because you're practicing mindfulness training, to see that anger is something that causes me suffering. It's something I should really abandon. So you understand now, inside. But it's not yet the same as the next step, which is Bhavanamaya Panya. Bhavanamaya Panya means the insight or the wisdom that comes from actually knowing and seeing with mindfulness. So now you might have understood, anger is something that causes me suffering, it's bad. Next step is you actually have enough mindfulness, because you're practicing As anger is arising, you see it straight away. You know it, oh, this is suffering, and you let go at that moment. So there's no room for anger to establish itself in your mind at that point, because you have enough insight then, it's sharp, it's clear. You go, oh, I'm not going to think like this, I'm going to drop this, let it go. Maybe you forgive someone if it's another person. If it's just a situation, you just say, oh, I'm not going to hold on to my anger here. I'll just accept what happens, let it go. Bhavanamaya Panya is like that. It's actually seeing the greed or the anger or the delusion as a defilement, as a cause of suffering, and then letting it go. So you're actually purifying your mind, freeing your mind from the defilements when they arise. Jintamaya Panya, you're thinking about it, you're understanding it, but you can't do it yet. So Bhavanamaya Panya has to come from a mind with sati, with mindfulness, and then contemplation. And you contemplate and you see, oh, this is suffering. You know, it's like the man walking along the road and he treads on a thorn, and he's walking along and he says, oh, my foot hurts. So he sits down and he looks at this thorn. And he's thinking, well, this thorn looks like it's the cause of the problem. I bet it's the problem. Yeah, I'm sure this is the problem. But he's just sitting there thinking about it. Only when he gets his fingers and he pulls the thorn out does he solve the problem. It's a bit like that. If you're just thinking about the Dhamma, it's good, but it's not yet solving the problem. If you actually let go of the cause of the problem, or you pull out the thorn, or you actually solve it, that's Bhavanamaya Panya. Actually cuts off the suffering there and then, finish. That's why we practice. We're practicing to finish our suffering, end it. Not just to think about it, not just to have an opinion about it, but actually finish it as an experience to actually end the suffering. If you're angry, just to let it go, return the mind to peace. If you're greedy or obsessed with something, or you're jealous or worried, let it go. Bring the mind to peace. That's Bhavanamaya Panya. So it's obviously the goal of our practice. Huh? Well, yeah, there's different, Dhammasakacca is like discussion of Dhamma. I mean, there's different words the Buddha used for learning, discussing, gaining knowledge. But that would all come under what we call Suttamaya Panya. Just, you know, the different ways of learning to get knowledge. And then it's actually internalizing it and thinking it through, so you really understand it, you remember it, understand it. Then actually bringing your mind to concentration with mindfulness practice, and actually seeing what you've learned in practice and letting go of the causes of suffering. So like step by step, it's a deepening of your insight. So it's not like Suttamaya Panya is bad or wrong or something like that. It's not like, it's useful. We need it. But then you have to internalize it, and you have to bring up mindfulness to the point where it's no longer just thinking and remembering, it's actually seeing the Dhamma, seeing what's going on there and then. So you have enough mindfulness to catch some kilesa as it comes up, and you go, oh, this is kilesa, and you drop it. You're seeing it, and you're seeing the impermanence of it straight away. You know, oh, this is impermanent. So your mind can accept the truth. It can help, yeah. The group activity sometimes makes us study harder, learn harder. It can help, but everybody's different. But we do it anyway. If you do chanting, you're chanting the suttas and the teachings of the Buddha, reading as well. Even meditation we can do together, because when you sit together, often you try harder. But in the end, you've got to internalize it, bring it inside for yourself. And maybe when you have insight, you might be on your own, just doing, you know, just walking along the road or something, and something comes up and you have insight. It's not something that you can force. So you might be with other people or you might be on your own. Depends on the situation. I'll just say in Thai briefly, เล่าเรื่องวิวัฒนาการความก้าวหน้าของการเจริญปัญญาจากสุตตมยปัญญาการได้ยินได้ฟังธรรมะพัฒนาถึงจินตมยปัญญาก็พิจารณาไตรตรองธรรมะที่เราได้ยินได้ฟังภายในจิตใจจงเข้าใจแต่ยังไม่ละกิเลสต้องเจริญสติภาวนาเกิดสมาธิจิตสงบนิ่งจึงจะเห็นชัดตามความเป็นจริงและปัญญาจะคล้ายเป็นภาวนามยปัญญาคือเห็นตามความเป็นจริงด้วยสติสมบูรณ์ปัญญาสมบูรณ์ละกิเลสในขณะนั้นเช่นอารมณ์เกิดขึ้นกำลังไม่พอใจแต่ก็รู้นี่กิเลสก็เลยละมันอนิจจังทุกขังอนัตตาเห็นอยู่มันไม่ใช่ตัวไม่ใช่ตนก็เลยละออกจากใจในขณะนั้นคือมันระดับปัญญามันต่างกันก็เลยผลก็ต่างกันจินตมยปัญญาก็ดีนึกคิดไตรตรงในธรรมะก็ดีแต่ว่ามันไม่ลึกมันยังถอนอุปทานไม่ได้ถอนกิเลสยากมันยังไม่มีกำลังแต่ถ้าฝึกสติจนจิตเป็นสมาธิก็มีกำลังแล้วปัญญาก็จะมีทำงานได้คล่องเป็นภาวนามยปัญญาlast question also in Thai พระอาจารย์กรุณาอธิบายคำว่าเมาในธรรมให้ด้วยครับ There's a question. Could you please explain the phrase getting drunk on Dhamma or intoxication with Dhamma? In Thai, the word for drunk is mao. It happens sometimes when people meditate. Because when you meditate, you're creating inner happiness. We call it piti and sukha. Piti is like rapture. You become energized to practice. You're not bored with the practice. You have a lot of joy. And sukha, you have contentment, happiness from your meditation. For somebody who's inexperienced maybe, these two qualities, piti and sukha, often make them want to tell everybody all about the Dhamma. And all their thoughts, they're all thinking about the Dhamma, seeing the Dhamma, and the Dhamma becomes very inspiring. Because of the piti and sukha, they have a stimulating effect. A bit like a good cup of cappuccino or something. So now the piti and sukha arises and you can see everything in terms of Dhamma. Maybe you even convince yourself you're already enlightened. Sometimes it happens. And people like this, often they can't stop talking. So in Thailand, Buddhist country, sometimes this happens. You see, it's a big Buddhist population, so sometimes you see, there's one monk I knew, he had really peaceful meditation, and he said, my mind is so peaceful, so happy, I've just got to tell everyone about the Dhamma, how good it is, I've got to share. You know, he had a good intention, but maybe not quite enough wisdom. So he'd give Dhamma talks in his monastery, and he wouldn't stop talking for 4 hours, 5 hours. And then some other monks stayed there, and they came and visited where I was living, and they said, "Wow, this monk, we thought he's enlightened, but he just talks and talks and talks all night, and we can't stand it anymore." Sometimes we get drunk with the Dhamma. The Dhamma is good, but then we get drunk on it and we just keep wanting to teach and get very excited. And we don't see ourselves. Like when you're drunk, you don't see yourself, do you? You're drunk. Everyone else can see, but you can't see. So sometimes it's with dana. Somebody's really excited about doing dana, and they try and get everyone else to do the dana. They say, I'm so happy making offerings, practicing generosity. I want everyone else to be as happy as me, and they pull this one and they pull that one, and everyone runs away from them when they see them. It's like, oh, they're going to come and ask us to do some more dana here. And they run away because they get too excited, too caught up, maybe. So we can get drunk on dana, drunk on sila, we keep the precepts. Sometimes we get very happy, and it's good, but then maybe we're so drunk on it, we look at other people and say, oh, you're not keeping the precepts, come, you should keep the precepts. Or if we look at someone, they're not keeping the precepts, maybe we look down on them. Say, oh, they're not keeping the precepts, they're not as good as me. We forget the core purpose of Dhamma practice, which is to let go of our greed, anger, delusion, our attachments. So even Dhamma practice can become an attachment if we're not clear. We get attached to teaching, get attached to doing dana, keeping the precepts. Ajahn Sumedho, he has a good story about this. When he was a brand new monk, he's living on his own, so he had no one to talk to up in Nong Khai, northeast Thailand. And in those days, it's 1966, very few foreigners around in Thailand. And he's meditating and all the joy is coming out in his meditation. And then the American consul was living in Vientiane in Laos, came across the Mekong to Nong Khai and heard there's an American monk staying in a Buddhist temple, so he went to go and visit him. So he went to visit Ajahn Sumedho. Ajahn Sumedho was living in this little hut in this monastery, and the American consul came up and sat with him, wanted to have a chat, just meeting another American citizen who can talk about something. Ajahn Sumedho had all this joy from his meditation, so he said, oh, I'll tell you about the Buddhist teachings. And he said he just talked and talked and talked and talked until the consul said, I've got to go, and ran away. So sometimes we can talk so much and so excited that we actually put people off because we're drunk in the Dhamma. The worst excess is if you're drunk in the Dhamma and you actually think you're enlightened when you're not. They're very hard to solve. People do. They think they're enlightened, and maybe only a very tough, very wise teacher can knock them out of their drunken state. It's like if you're drunk, someone has to help sober you up. What do they do when you're drunk? You know, when I was a kid, if someone was drunk, we'd slap them on the face. Oh, it wakes them up a bit. So maybe it needs a teacher to slap that person on the face. So, example, well, there was a nun who lived with Ajahn Chah. She thought she was enlightened. She came to Ajahn Chah, told him how good her meditation was. She said, now I'm a Sotapanna. And Ajahn Chah said, oh, that's very good. A little better than a dog. She didn't like that answer. She got very angry, and all her enlightenment experience disappeared very quickly, and she stormed off. Or there's a monk who came and he said, when I meditate, my mind is so bright. I just see this amazing glowing light in my mind. And Ajahn Chah said, oh, what's so good about that? If you want to see glowing lights, just go across to the Ubon market at night. There's plenty of glowing lights there. So sometimes you need someone just to calm them down a bit when they get so attached. You know, they've maybe had some genuine experience. It's not they haven't had it, but they've attached too much. The ego takes over, and then nobody can talk to them properly. They need a teacher just to point out, look, you're getting too attached here, too lost in your own experience. The other one is people have one good experience, the really good meditation is so peaceful, maybe floating up out of the hall, it's so good. And then you keep hearing about it for the next 20 years. So they just had the one good experience. And 10 years later, they're still telling everybody, and everyone's going, oh no, that story again. So, different examples. I'll just say something in Thai. ก็เมาในธรรมก็ขาดสติขาดปัญญาหน่อยนึงบางที่เกิดปิติสุข มากๆเกิดสมาธิมากๆก็ดีอยู่แต่ว่าใจมันยึดมันชอบมันเอามันก็เลยความรู้สึกตัวตนเกิดขึ้นพร้อมกันยึดในสุขสบายยึดในปิติบางทียึดในความรู้ความเข้าใจที่เกิดขึ้นว่าเป็นตัวเป็นตนเมาแล้วก็ไปเล่าให้คนอื่นฟังบ้างไปประกาศตัวว่าเก่งอย่างนี้อย่างนั้นบ้างหลงจนกระทั่งบางทีต้องมีอาจารย์ดุมาเทศสอนหรือบางทีก็ความประพฤติหรือการกระทำของตัวเองก็พิสูจน์เองให้คนอื่นเห็นหลงแล้วบางทีก็ประกาศตัวว่าบรรลุแล้วก็ไปทำบาปก็มีบางทีไม่ต้องมีใครมาอธิบายอะไรมากการกระทำมันบอกเองคนบรรลุธรรมไปกินเหล้าได้เหรอ คนบรรลุธรรมไปด่าคนอื่นได้เหรอบางทีการกระทำมันฟ้องในตัวหรือบางที่ครูบาอาจารย์ต้องช่วยสะกิดปฏิบัติภาวนาดีอยู่ในว่าแต่ว่าอย่าไปหลงในความสงบนะก็แล้วแต่ So that was maybe a good question to end on, because maybe I will prevent myself from getting drunk in the Dhamma, and I'll stop speaking now and let you all do some quiet meditation. So we now have 40 minutes walking meditation. So if you like to find a spot outside, you can carry on sitting if you want, but in 45 minutes there'll be a bell and then there will be a 1 hour sitting meditation. So maybe for now you might want to stretch your legs, so you can move outside.